Are you sure there's fuel in that gen? Pat! Go and pay the gen. Pat! Are you okay? My friend, will you stand up?
Stop it! You want to kill yourself?
How now?
My dear, petrol vapor is highly flammable, and when exposed to the heat of a running generator, it can explode.
Wait, pa. Guys, they watch boy for inside though. If I not on this gen, they fit provoke by me.
You don't understand. This one will buy you first, buy you faster.
I'll use this opportunity to welcome everybody, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, to this media round robin discourse on CNG revolution, powering Nigeria's clean transportation future. And that is what we have come here to discuss. It is powered by Rig to Pump. Rig to Pump is an offshoot of Eternal Alpha Omega Concept Limited. Eternal Alpha Omega Concept Limited is licensed to do as much as exploration, so we can prospect oil, oil and gas, we can have our production facility, we can let me not say we can compete with the IOC, but again, what it means is you can go into that business like Seplat and Orlando they are doing at this moment. But Rig to Pump is still looking at the media part of this entity, and what are we going to do? What is our aim? What do we want to do? Is about the platform is designed to educate, inform, and foster dialogue by addressing critical topics that will cater to Nigerians and the global audience. That is what we have. If you look at if you go to our YouTube page, you see things that we have done. The safety moment that we shared about refueling a running generator. It's an advocacy program by Rig to Pump that we put together a few months ago based on recurring incidences. If you check our YouTube page, you see where we talked about gas explosion, the tankers exploding, pipelines exploding. So those are things that we try to bring to bear. So why are we going into this topic? Recently, the Nigerian government came up with a policy to adopt CNG, and we looked at it. How much do we know about it? Now, with the vast natural gas reserve that Nigeria has, would it be out of place for us to leverage on this strength? The answer is no, we can't. It is not out of place for us. So it's something that we can actually look into. You know, I was watching something, one of the past recordings of channels, and some people talking about associated gas, non-associated gas, and we would someday get to that. You see, Nigeria started doing it is called NAG. We have NAG wells. I won't say more than that. We have started to do the non-associated gas exploration, and that's why you see some companies have they do that to get more gas. So that they have the gas plants. Some companies are beginning to even convert. Let me use the layman's term: convert gas into liquid. You see, we have gas to liquid, and if you see what is coming out of that, so I'll leave it at that, and that's why we want to help educate Nigerians on the CNG revolution. And it is not only that, like we said, we're talking about the green gas emission, getting a cleaner environment, a cleaner air, we have signed to that globally. The heat that you see, Lagos, for example, used to be, some years back, used to be 28, 30, maximum 32. But now, if you look at Lagos temperature, it is doing 36. Sometimes it will go to 40. Where do you get 40 in those days? It is in the far north. So these are part of the things that we are doing that we can help at least reduce. When we reduce emission, then we'll be able to have a cleaner environment and clean air. So we'll quickly go back to the video I wanted to share. CNG, let's first look at what is CNG.
Hey there, fellow Nigerians. Today I want to talk about something that affects all of us, the rising fuel costs and economic challenges we're facing. Have you noticed those long queues at petrol stations? Yeah, me too. And those high fuel prices displayed everywhere, it's hard to miss. Now, let's switch gears for a moment. Imagine a Nigeria where transportation is affordable and eco-friendly. Picture CNG-powered vehicles zooming through our streets, emitting cleaner energy and reducing pollution. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, guess what? This dream is becoming a reality. The federal government has recognized the pressing need for change. With rising petrol and diesel costs eating into our pockets, they've taken a bold step towards adopting compressed natural gas, or CNG, for transportation. Why CNG, you ask? It's simple. It's cheaper, cleaner, and more abundant in our country. CNG adoption isn't just about reducing fuel costs, it's about creating a sustainable future for Nigeria. When we embrace CNG, we cut down on harmful emissions, making our air cleaner and healthier for everyone. Think about the impact this could have on our cities, our health, and our future generations. And it's not just about the environment. The economic benefits are significant too.
The federal government of Nigeria has launched a comprehensive CNG policy initiative. This policy aims to incentivize the adoption of CNG as a primary transportation fuel. The government is committed to creating an enabling environment for CNG to thrive. This policy includes various incentives for both consumers and investors. Lower taxes on CNG vehicles and infrastructure development are just the start.
So that's what we have done. We have looked at I did this so that it will be part of our, and on the panelists, quickly run through that. We have Adelanke Dayo Adepoju, an energy expert with MEMAN, Major Energies Marketers Association of Nigeria. She's had experience in the energy sector, and that's why she's here to talk to us, particularly on renewable and emissions, all those things. She studied in the University of Oklahoma, electrical engineering. So we welcome her once again. Adewale Sanyolu, who is the Assistant Business Editor, Oil and Gas for Sun Publishing Limited, the publisher of Daily Sun, Saturday Sun, Sporting Sun. He has attended so much training, even some funded by Mobile in Pan Atlantic University. Like I said, when we hear big grammars like Pan Atlantic University, I think it is the Lagos Business School. So you can correct me if I am wrong, please. He's covered this industry up to Houston, Texas, Spain, Canada, to United Kingdom. So we'll leave it at that. You're welcome, Mr. Adewale Sanyolu. The next is Professor Anthony Killer. Anthony Killer, it's actually a face that you know very well, that you probably see on daily basis on the with the news house like TVC channels, Arise TV, and is a strategist, is a professor of strategy and development, is a political economist, strategist, and a public intellectual. So he talks to us on how the government initiatives, policies, how they go, what the strategy is all about, why we need to review our strategy, all those things. He's a regular commentator on BBC also, and a columnist with the National Mirror. So please help me welcome. He is a noble Nigerian. And I am proud to say that he is a noble Nigerian. And that means that I am a noble Nigerian. For those that know, I say, if you get it, if you don't get it, forget about it. You can ask what nobility is all about and which arm of Nigeria education uses nobility as a key the key driver to sustainable growth. Okay, I'll leave that. So the next person is Dr. Waheed Lalekon. He is a former retired federal director and immediate past state director of the National Orientation Agency. And that's why we want to leverage on his wealth of experience. Like I said before, if you don't know National Orientation Agency, I'll remind you of that, is it the minister or the director of that agency that said, if you are a cleaner, clean well. If you are a manager, manage well. So that is, is it MAMSA or what was it? So that is part of the year and it's going to help us through. Dr. Alaya, like I said, due to some emergency, he may not be with us. He may still join us, but he had sent a note and it's a serious emergency. He is a former retired director of the Standard Organization of Nigeria, and he has headed and coordinated various sections and departments in that agency. So you know what it means. So those are our contributors. And for me, well, I did not talk about myself before. My name is Femi Odulaja. I am into so many things, but my experience is in the oil and gas sector. I retired from one of the IOCs and I've consulted for them over the years. I think I just left that consultancy job back. I retired in 2016 and I have been consulting for them since before and after COVID until July this year that I left. I've handled such projects like the critical safeguard awareness campaign, where we want to ensure that the safety devices are in place, that they are functioning when they are functioning. I have consulted for Philip Outsourcing when they wanted to recruit about 90 employees for a gas farm in Akwa Ibom. I was part of that recruitment session for Philip Outsourcing. Couple of things, Sarubi and Rig to Pump is part of it. I'm the host, and you're welcome once again. Thank you.
In his inaugural speech, disclosed to Nigerians that subsidy was gone. And afterwards, government was trying to look at a way in terms of making transportation cheap for people, because quite well they know that the implication of the subsidy removal will bring about a burden on Nigerians in terms of fuel costs and all whatnot. So the Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative, PCNGI, was floated. And so far, for that committee, my expectations are quite low at the moment in terms of their performance. There has not been any clear form of communication policy to really tell Nigerians what this initiative was about. So if I'm to say, I would like to say it looks like it was an initiative that was hurriedly put up. Some things were not well thought out, because when you ask about the average Nigerian, even journalists that are covering this sector, some don't really have an idea in terms of what is the communication strategy for this initiative. Not to talk about Nigerians. They don't have an idea. And I think that's a wrong one, because the National Orientation Agency should be at the forefront of driving this initiative, of communicating the policy. But in a place whereby the communication policy is absent, what can they really communicate? So those will be my opening thoughts in that regard.
Thank you, Mr. Wale. So I'm trying to recap what you have said in terms of the bottom line is that the Presidential Committee on CNG have not done enough in terms of informing the people on what to do and how to do. So we need to actually look at what CNG is all about. You understand? So maybe we'll come to that. Dr. Waheed, in terms of advocacy from what Mr. Wale has said, do you have anything to suggest to how the government can improve in terms of communication on this policy?
Yes, definitely. I want to agree to some extent with what the last speaker said on a clear-cut communication policy on this CNG. However, let me quickly correct an impression. The National Orientation Agency had indeed come out with a kind of sensitization on the CNG. In fact, it was the National Orientation Agency that released the list of all the CNG conversion centers across Nigeria and all the filling centers where people can fill the gas, But we need to do more. We need to do more. And talking about National Orientation Agency, it's unfortunate. When I was there, we found out that majority of Nigerians expect so much from the agency without asking whether the agency is adequately funded. If anything is wrong in terms of advocacy, enlightenment, and mobilization, or sensitizing people on government policies, programs, and activities, everybody will talk on National Orientation Agency. But however, I think I left the agency some 19 months ago and I retired. But I think there's a little bit of vibrancy in the agency now, which we are seeing with the new Director General. So I hope that we'll get it right this time around. But as we proceed in this conversation, I will prefer areas where we need to come in to ensure that our people, operate this CNG. Because we do know that in any latest technological development, there are people who are so pessimistic about successes of such programs. We have the early adapters, we have those who are late adapters, we have those who want to just wait and see whether it's going to work or whether it's not going to work. But we need to ensure that we go down to the grassroots to enlighten people on the importance and the necessity of us changing to CNG. But as we proceed, we will talk more on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. I guess this answer probably had addressed the question that came on the chart, that it should help us on what government should do. The question is on the chart there, and I want to believe the person that asked that question, that the question is to some extent answered, and they have said he can still throw some more light into it. So the next question will still be going to Mr. Wale Saraolu, can you help us break down the current incentives the Nigerian government is offering to encourage the adoption of CNG in transportation, especially to Nigerians? You see, we've seen the social media thing that few guys they've been converted and they're comparing the prices. What are the incentives? I got in the course of us doing this and preparing for this, someone chatted me and said the incentives and in terms of conversion, the materials, some of them are not good enough. Some there are some still hidden technology inherent in it. Please, can you help us? What do you think you've covered in this as a journalist? Thank you.
Okay, thank you once again, Mr. Moderator. Well, talking about the incentives, what we have discovered is that some of these incentives are just policy statements that are not really translating to what it should be. You recall that the federal government made a pronouncement that levies and taxes for CNG kits will be dropped. But when you talk to agents, when you talk to those that are in this business, they tell you that up till now, the customs, they are yet to effect that policy. And that, in a way, drives up the cost of this CNG conversion. That is one. Two, they talked about crashing the cost and making it zero for those that are into commercial bus operations. But by the time you talk to members of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, Road Transport Employees Association of Nigeria, when you talk to these groups, they tell you that they are not getting these things. So that becomes a problem. Now, if you look at it, what is the number of the vehicles that have been converted? I'm talking about commercial vehicles now. Those are some of the numbers that this committee should be reeling out to Nigerians. But by the time you go to the various parks and talk to leadership of these various organizations I have mentioned, they will tell you that they don't even know where to go. They don't even know what to talk to. Again, those that are into hailing services, initially, government made a pronouncement too that there will be parts of this in terms of incentivizing them. But when I spoke to some of them yesterday, they told me that they are asking them to bring 50% of the cost as a down payment. And the initial cost, according to some of them, is about 1.2 million. So they need to drop about 600,000, then spread the balance over time. And they are saying, where will they get this kind of money? These are people that are still struggling to make ends meet. That is contrary to what government had said. So when you look deep down and make all this investigation, you will see that the level of penetration of this initiative is still low, coupled with the figures reeled out by the downstream regulator, the Nigerian Midstream Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Agency, that at the moment we only have 50 CNG filling stations across the country. So where will that lead us? Just 50. Then one of these conversion centers that is on the Lagos Ibadan Expressway, I wouldn't want to mention name. They have orders up till March next year, so they cannot even take more vehicles. I mean, private vehicles that want to sign onto this scheme. They don't have the capacity to take more until they finish up with the ones they have. So these are some of the issues around this CNG initiative. The incentives that government is talking about, they are not really there. The last time the president of the National Nigerian Labour Congress was on TV, and he was saying that government only provided them with 10 vehicles. And even the 10 vehicles that they are parked in their headquarters in Abuja, because they don't even have where to fill the gas for these vehicles. So when you look at all these things, there are complications around it. And that makes the penetration very difficult. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wale. Well said. We got a chat saying good points. On this note, I want to just share a video on CNG put together by Rick to Pump.
If you're an eco-warrior, you need to know about CNG. Let's dive in. So what is CNG? Compressed natural gas is natural gas compressed to less than 1% of its volume at standard atmospheric pressure. It's mostly made up of methane and stored in high-pressure tanks, perfect for fueling a variety of vehicles. Now, why is everyone switching to CNG? For starters, private vehicle owners love it. Many car manufacturers offer dual-fuel models that can run on both CNG and petrol, giving you flexibility and helping you cut costs and emissions. But it's not just personal cars. In cities, public transportation like buses and taxis are increasingly running on CNG, saving money and reducing harmful emissions in our urban areas. And let's not forget commercial fleets. Delivery trucks and cargo vehicles benefit from the cost savings and extended engine life that come with using CNG as a primary fuel. So, whether you're a solo driver or running a fleet, CNG is a win for your wallet and the planet. Ready to make the switch?
That's just a short thing that Rick to Pump put together. There is no conflict about copyright. It is our own development. So CNG, we have heard about it. We'll go into the next segment, and there's a question that Professor Killer was meant to help us through. What are the long-term benefits of widespread CNG adoption for Nigeria's economy, environment, and the public? Do we have anybody that can help us speak to this if Professor Killer is not on call? So I generalize it for our panelists. We have talked about the long-term benefits. I talked about the reduction in the cost of fueling, especially for the commercial vehicle drivers. We've seen experience, and we've seen voice pop from other media houses that they interviewed people, and they said, well, it's about 300 to 400% reduction, because what I'm saying is, some say per day they use 25,000 fuel to run their business, and now they use 4,000 to 5,000. So that's a major benefit. Another benefit is in terms of the emission. Strongly, the moment we start to have so many cars, don't mind the drawbacks now. The moment we have so many cars converted, what it means is we are going to be cutting down 10 to 15% of our emission, which for the sub-Saharan Africa, it will be a milestone, and will be a plus for us. And that is the much that I can say. So I'll throw it to the panelists. Lanke, Adelanke, do you have anything to share with us on this?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Femi. So you've mentioned the cost savings, the benefit in terms of the cost savings for CNG in comparison to our regular PMS. Yes, it is cheaper. It's about 30 to 50% cheaper than the regular PMS. It does help with the reduced emissions, as you mentioned. It's still a fossil fuel, not completely renewable. So you have traces of carbon still in its emission. So that's another benefit. An additional benefit is the reduced maintenance cost. Because you have less carbon footprint, you have reduced maintenance time while utilizing the CNG for your car. We also would be using this in-house resource for our benefits in terms of gas is readily available in Nigeria. We do have tons and tons of gas in our reserves. I mean, there are questions around, supply and, access, creating access to that. And it's in the demand and in this kind of, this fora where we're able to discuss and bring awareness and bring the right information to the public that we're able to increase adoption and, grow the market. There's been an increased, sensitization around the use of what I say, CNG for transport. I mean, yeah, for years, many years, there's been utilization in the manufacturing industry as an alternative for power supply. So you see a lot of manufacturers self-generating and utilizing this product in that space. For transport, it has been existing for a long while. I know the Dangote has been utilizing it in their fleet. You have the like of NIPCO, who for over 20 years has been preaching. It has, economic benefits as well in terms of creating jobs and, as I mentioned, utilizing our resources to reduce, that exposure to forex and exposure to that like not so readily available. I mean, you see scarcities here and there, so you have less of that while utilizing CNG. It does have its challenges, but at least those are the few benefits that are readily available and are quick wins for Nigerians to take on board this initiative and be part of it. Yes, there are challenges. There are so many challenges have been mentioned earlier. There are challenges with PMS as well. There are challenges everywhere, but if we focus on only the challenge, we won't move anywhere in Nigeria. For us, it's for MEMAN, it's important that we bring this information to the front, to your fingertips. Yes, you've mentioned challenges, but there's been a good progress. Beginning of this year, there were only approximately 27 stations, but with the sensitization and the buzz around the CNG, you have stations coming on board. Some of them not fully operational, but as I mentioned, gas can be stored, but it's more expensive, and you're looking at a space where the infrastructure is expensive itself. So you're saying, okay, if I'm buying compressors, if I'm to set up a CNG station as compared to a PMS station, the gas technology itself is more expensive. And when you are calling on people to invest and there isn't any demand, it's now, I mean, yes, we are seeing progressive move in the infrastructure development, right? But if we don't utilize this product, it's very hard for you to have, for it to be attractive, a business as a business owner. So it's important that we understand that as we're upstream trying to get the non-associated gas, as you mentioned, and building infrastructures where we have 50 stations, we also need to make sure that the demand, which is the utilization, is because you can't store it, it's a flow, right? And yes, those are I see the advantages of utilizing CNG.
Okay, thank you, Ade Lanke. I guess you have stylishly gone into the segment 2, which is supposed to be on you, and the question indirectly you have answered. So I will just repeat the question so that the audience will know that these questions are directed at you from Rig to Pump plan. What are the primary challenges Nigerians faces in its transition to CNG, particularly in terms of infrastructure and public perception? I want to believe that you have answered that, talked to that, or do you still have something to say?
Oh yeah, there's a lot on the challenges. I'm sure we can't speak on everything here. But at first let's start from the top, which is the supply. I mean, typically we have abundant gas, as you mentioned, and as everyone already knows, but it's the in-between to get to the last mile that we need to focus on. So that's infrastructure. Today, as we speak, we have 2,009,000 cubic feet, and we only utilize about 2.3 per year. So you can see that it's available for more than 100 years, right? For us at MEMAN, we see the challenge in terms of the conversion as a place of concern because of safety. Converting it's safe. CNG is safe, but we need to make sure that we're diligently implementing and adopting this new frontier. We need to make sure that we're not looking at this thing and getting secondhand. And thankfully, SON is in the room to speak on quality, if they're still here, quality products, and making sure that, the verification process while things are imported, the equipment are imported. So for us, it's that while we're implementing, we need to make sure that it's safe. It's an area of concern, and we need to not cut corners. This is not a thing to play with. So it's so it's talking about the safety challenges in terms of making sure we have the right equipment and we're doing the right maintenance, and we have the right maintenance of the equipment, the cylinders, that is important, right? The challenges around the financing of the equipment, you had mentioned before the cost. So you see that the cost typically for conversion, I've heard people say 600, 700. I've also heard people say 1.2 million, depending on your car, the kind of car you have. So I know that everyone is saying, okay, financing, look at low interest loans. Let's be realistic. It's very, it's a business. We need to remember that whilst for this to happen, NIPCO has started, CNG for a long while, right? And there's been slow adoption in terms of use for transport utilization. And when we benchmark with other countries, we see a lot of other countries utilize the adoption, or the method of adoption is through the government promotion and through the right policies being put in place. And that's what we started with PCNGI. Yes, I had some complaints around it. It's around, communication. I don't know how else communication, I'm not answering for them, but I see a lot. You can try on their LinkedIn page. There's a lot of information every day on what they're doing and, the progress they've made. But it's also to call on the private sector as well to collaborate with the government, as this is, on their front burner, to make sure that, we are making sure the value chain is developed alongside, right? So, those are the key challenges that is highlighted, and, ways and methods that we can mitigate to make sure that we move this forward. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Adelanke. We're still coming back to you, but we're going to be managing the time now. I want to welcome Dr. Alaya. He's in the end. I've seen him, and I've enabled his mic. So when he wants to talk, he would let us know. So Adelanke, from the MEMAN angle about it, the next question is about what do you think the other key stakeholders can do to support this government policy? Stakeholders like MEMAN and other government agencies, the marketers, name them, the labor union. How can they help government to push this, and how can the private sector also come in? Mr. Wale, you can prepare for this if you have anything for us after Lanke. So let's do this in 1 minute, please.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the question. So for MEMAN, where we see it, the fast rollout for CNG would be to look at it on a cluster by cluster basis, where we have a station and our operations are within 200 kilometers of that station. So typically, I mean, CNG, yeah. So you see, we've seen the likes of Dangote implement such a solution where they have a station for their large fleets towards distribution. You have a station in Kogi, their cement factory, where Obajana, where you're able to get gas from, and then they refuel. I mean, most of their vehicles are dual, but you've seen about over 2,000 conversions have been done, and that's a sample operation that we think should be implemented across board, where even in the mass transit system, you see your operations will be centered around where the stations are, and you're able to plan around that, and you know that there's you can easily plan, you know where your deliveries are, you know where you're picking up your products from, so it's easy to implement and you can predict your distribution, right? I know MEMAN, for MEMAN, we have a sustainability plan which we started at the beginning of this year, where we are looking to migrate some of our fleets to utilize CNG. And this is because we've seen the need, and that's also what gave birth to the transition from major energy to major oil marketers to major energy marketers. All right, so yes, to answer your question is I mentioned that we've started a sustainability plan where we're exploring other solutions, so for the renewable energy side, solarizing our stations. For the transport side, we're looking at implementing either converting or adding new fleets utilizing CNG to our operations. We're also, a lot of our operations are done in close relationship with NATO, that's the Nigerian Road Transporters Association, where we've also started discussing ways to implement, and they're doing things as well with PCNGI to help with the conversion of their vehicles. I believe they are in the phase 2 part of the CNG rollout for PCNGI because they utilize diesel vehicles, and that technology is different from petroleum vehicles. So essentially, at MEMAN, we've also set up a competency center where we are speaking on the different solutions. Following the announcement earlier in the year, it's important that we explore other options. And for energy to be accessible for everyone, it's creating options and alternatives. So it's an energy mix where you have the liberty to either use PMS, you use your EV. So essentially, MEMAN, the competency center, is positioned to bring information across all these alternatives and fuels, renewable energy, utilizing ethanol, utilizing CNG as well, where you're able to get information on all of these things to help with the easy transition and adoption.
Thank you. Well said. If I hear you clearly, and I like that the mention about Dangote creating its own CNG system such that their vehicles can go. So what that means is we can encourage the private sectors that have that financial capability to actually adopt that system, fund the conversion of their vehicles if they have large fleets, and have a refueling station. So that will help, and I think that will reduce some of the queues in the petrol stations. Yes, if Boa, for example, if you have any other private companies, everyone that has fleets that can actually adopt that would be nice. Mr. Wale, do you have anything to say to that? And I will just add your question to it. How can the media, both locally and global, contribute to raising awareness and educating the public on CNG benefits. We are talking about how other stakeholders can come in if you want to lend a voice to that, and just help us move into what the media can do both locally and outside Nigeria to help create awareness on uh, uh, the benefits of CNG. There are other benefits to it. So let's go. Ms. Adelanke, let's prepare to talk about the environmental benefits in terms of, I know you've mentioned it, but we would want to treat that as a question. So, Mr. Wale, you have the floor.
I said earlier, I think what needs to be done, even before we begin to talk about foreign media collaboration, I think we should look in-house first. And the PCGNI should immediately organize a stakeholders forum where the media will be brought into a room and they can communicate their strategy to us. Tell us what are the immediate to short to long-term plans on this initiative. How many number of vehicles do they intend to ramp up within this period of time? Then beyond that, let them tell us in this short time, what are the milestones that they have recorded? What are the challenges? If we don't have, the media is not a spirit. If we don't have the right information, it's going to be difficult for us to communicate to the public and for the public to know what really government is doing in this space. So it is only when that is done, they can now move out and begin to talk about external foreign collaboration, which will, in the long run, aid them in terms of attracting the right investment into this sector, because it is a very capital intensive venture to embark upon.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wale. I think at this point, I would like to again share another video from my just to talk about this CNG revolution. So let's see.
Nigeria stands as a powerhouse of natural gas resources. We hold the largest reserves in Africa and rank among the top 10 globally. Yet a significant portion of this valuable resource remains untapped. We currently flare a substantial amount of natural gas. This represents a missed opportunity for our nation. We can harness this abundant resource to transform our transportation sector. The potential of compressed natural gas, or CNG, is enormous. CNG is a cleaner and more cost-effective alternative to traditional fuels like petrol and diesel. By embracing CNG, Nigeria can reduce its reliance on expensive and polluting fossil fuels. This shift aligns with global efforts to combat climate change and promote sustainable development. Let's explore how CNG can power our transportation future. The government is also investing in public awareness campaigns. These campaigns will educate Nigerians about the benefits of CNG. By making CNG more accessible and affordable, the government aims to drive a nationwide transition towards cleaner transportation. The environmental benefits of switching to CNG are undeniable. CNG vehicles produce significantly lower emissions compared to petrol and diesel vehicles. This means cleaner air for our cities and a healthier future for all Nigerians. Reduced carbon emissions contribute to the global fight against climate change. Beyond the environmental benefits, CNG offers significant economic advantages. CNG is considerably cheaper than petrol and diesel, providing much-needed relief to Nigerian consumers who face fluctuating fuel prices. The reduced fuel costs translate into substantial savings for individuals and businesses alike. These savings can be redirected towards other essential needs, boosting economic growth.
This is a recap of what we have said all along in terms of the CNG revolution. So, but again, we've been able to use this video, what the video is all about, to reiterate everything that the panelists they have said in terms of the benefits the way forward in terms of advocacy, in terms of infrastructural development. So at this point, I want to call on Dr. Alaya, if he's still in here, to unmute and say something. Doctor, you are unmuted already. Please just unmute and give us a word if you have what you think SON, what role you think. Yes, you are retired, so you are not speaking for SON. Then will be followed by Dr. Waid. We'll take it like that and come to Wale and Adelanke. Then we'll round up. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. I've had the comments and remarks from the previous commentator participant. Actually, as you rightly said, I'm retired from SON, but actually not tired. I'm a consultant for various organizations. My area of concern will be that, as rightly mentioned, first of all, SON has a big role to play because SON is the sole organization that is responsible for formulation of standards on products and services, under which this particular issue comes on. This particular issue comes under. So SON has a very big role. I know presently there are various standards that have been produced relating to this subject matter. Let's take the example of cylinder. We have standards already on cylinder. But the issue now is this: we have enough enforcement of law and regulations. The practices that is rooted in the petrol sector, hope same will not be repeated in the CNG. So we need real enforcement to even attract foreign investment. It must be saying that we are doing very well, just as somebody mentioned, before we even seeking for foreign investment, let's put our house in order. So all I'm just to say for now, if I will have other opportunity, is to say yes, we have a regulatory agency, SON, weight and measures. These are key agencies, when technically speaking, that we see to the success of this program. So as to, before we start seeing proliferation of installers, we must see to the fact that there must be a framework that will suggest that all installers are certified. If that is not done, or that step is not carried out, before you know it, you start seeing all manners of installers, all because of the business opportunity inherent in the CNG. So I think, as somebody mentioned, we equally suggest, beyond this online advocacy, we have a physical conference, workshop, whereby all the relevant agencies can give their milestone, what they are doing or what they have done, and the press, very, very important, very, very important. But the press can only make known to people what they know, and which presently not much. So I will equally support the idea of having a physical conference where we bring in all the necessary stakeholders. From there, we can project what awaits a CNG in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. We're ramping up now, so let's, in few minutes, just one minute, let's start to talk into everything that we have discussed in terms of the government policy, what the benefits of CNG is like, what are the challenges around it. We're rounding up, so each participant should please round up for us. I'll start with Dr. Waid. Dr. Waid, please, in 1 minute, and you focus on maybe reiterate what you have said in terms of what the government can do and what the people can do. Please, let's go, sir.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to say that for adequate awareness to be created for adoption of this change, it is very, very important that all the necessary infrastructural facilities are put in place. Because from where I'm coming from, as a communication specialist, you talk to the people, you want to convince people to embrace something. The infrastructure is not available. Let us look at Lagos now, for instance. How many stations are available for people to get the CNG? How many of the conversion centers are really functioning? So, going forward, the PCNI has to ensure that they have a multi-sectoral approach to awareness creation on CNG adoption, using all the available media on ground. That is the traditional media and, of course, the social media thing. Of course, there is need to ensure that there is adequate IEC material, on the benefits of adopting CNG. We all appreciate the fact that CNG is beneficial to the economy, to the pockets of Nigeria. Because I watched something just yesterday. Somebody said he drove on CNG from Agidingbi to Ibadan with 1,750 naira worth of CNG. Driving back with gas again, that's just about 4,000 naira. But if you have to use petrol, it will be around 40 to 50,000. So we know that if we adopt CNG, if we put more money into the pockets of our people, especially now that we are still grappling with this 70,000 naira minimum wage, a lot of our people cannot go to work because of the high cost of petrol. So, sincerely, I want to say that there is need for community engagement using the various community development associations, community development committees, religious leaders who are the gatekeepers, traditional rulers, to talk to people to embrace the CNG. But then, government must ensure that this infrastructure must be in place. Of course, another area that we need to address is the high cost of installing the CNG kit. It's just like solar. When you want to install solar in your house, you're going to spend so much money. But the benefit that you're going to get after installing is far much more than the cost of installing the solar, because you will not be buying petrol for a generator every time. The only thing you do is replacing your battery every 3 years or 5 years, depending on the type of battery that you use. Then on CNG, we know that you will have benefits over time. But we must appreciate the fact that the economy is not smiling. Nigerians are not smiling. When you are asking somebody who is just barely managing to spend average of 900,000 to 1.4 million to install a CNG in a vehicle, it is very, very appalling. So, like we have said, government must ensure that they encourage financial institutions, just like Access Bank is doing now in terms of getting solar. The assist you in getting the solar system and you pay small. Government must ensure that they do this. When I heard that government was going to fund 50, install 50 vehicles that get into the conversion center free, I thought it was for all vehicles, which were around there. Unfortunately, when I got there, I was told that it was meant for only the public transportation owners. So we need to ensure that we lessen the burden of our people by ensuring that all of those palliatives, all of those things that government has said they are going to do, reduction in taxes of imported CNG vehicles and all of that, are not only on paper, that they are, implemented immediately, so that our people can have the benefit of buying ready-made built CNG vehicles.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Doctor, we have to round you up because based on your experience, if we allow you to continue to go, you have a lot to say. Thank you. You are well appreciated. I will try to sum it up. Mr. Adewale Sanyaolu, let's round up and see, is it possible for government to focus on the public transportation system, e.g. in Lagos, use it for the BRT, such that they will be sincere with this by, we have converted this number, and it means our running cost, our OPEX, has gone down. So how does it affect Nigerians in terms of bringing down the cost of moving from Ikeja to Yaba? So can we talk to that, Mr. Wale? Mr. Adewale, are you still with us, sir? What is Mr. Wale? Please unmute. Okay, let's have somebody help us with that in terms of rounding up. Adelanke, can you please round up if you want to speak to the public transportation and the cost? What advice do we have for the government? I cited example, for example, I cited the example of the BRT. Now we can encourage, you can work with those road transport union, particularly. Something just crossed my mind now. Those Ekene Dilichuku, those night buses, those big buses, such that it brings everything down. Like Dr. Wahid said, look, the minimum wage is there. But if we have means to at least cut something down, then it will bring some cushion to Nigerians. So let's go, Adelanke. We're rounding up, please.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, in terms of the adoption of CNG being trickling down to the actual cost of transportation, I mean, it's a big concern that we've always been discussing, and we're advocating for, the fact that transparency around, pricing of transportation. And in the event that we are reducing the operational cost, the question is it going to trickle down to the transport fare? And we've spoken to PCNG, but that's part of what we've been advocating for, putting things in place to make sure that so everything is a thing of numbers. I mean, as much as we want free conversion, we want cheaper fuel. Whoever is going to invest, it has to make business sense to them, right? And if we are calling on private owners to come into the space, we need to make sure that the system for them to recover their money, in the sense that if I come to you today and I say, okay, I would convert, I will help you with the technology. I'm competent in this area, and I'm willing to put my company to help. right? And maybe do a certain kind of subsidy, whatever the other part of the payment would be. I need to ensure that I can get my money back, right? So in the event that I'm converting free for, let's say, the government, I need to either put I mean, this is the technology age where we can, give people cards. There's already loaded cards where you come and you convert, and then you can see that, the private sector is getting the returns and getting their payments on time. And then you're also looking at, the fare coming down, making sure that whatever we do, we're in close collaboration. This is about collaboration. No one can do it alone. The government can't do it alone. So we make sure that the space is transparent. We already know that CNG cost is subsidized and it's 230 because we're trying to promote adoption, right? And as we are putting it out to be 230, there will come a time where again we need to remove the subsidy, or so there needs to be clarity around that pricing, right? And that in itself gives information to the investors. And when we're now speaking to the BRT buses, that's still the government, is mass transit, and we can look at state-on-state implementation of CNG in the mass transit, and make sure that whatever we're implementing, it transcends to reduce cost of fuel. If not, where this is an exercise for just discussion and not implementation. So yes, that's all from me. You're muted if you're speaking.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, I'm actually trying to look at the charts. There is this person with J coming in. So, and that person has been asking questions behind the scene. Okay, sorry, the person has been talking about renewable. Adelanke, you did not let us look at the, what is it called? The environmental impact in terms of, maybe you need to just give us 30 seconds on that, not more than 30 seconds, please.
Okay, all right. So for the environmental impact, now, while we're here, it's important that we understand the context to where we're going to as a nation. The agreement towards net zero targets for 2060 is an actual legal document that was signed as each country's commitment to reduce emissions. Now, that being said, it's important that that's why we're even in this space. That's why we've now said, okay, gas is a transition fuel, because it helps with that target. It helps reduce the emissions. And we also understand that transport sector contributes majorly to the pollution, right? And with you implementing CNG or other alternatives, it's important that you understand why we're even talking about it, first of all. And and its impact on a global perspective, right? And that being said, we already know that pollution is terrible for our health. It's terrible for our environment. It's, you have, I attended something recently, and someone was speaking about how he used to utilize coal in his house way back, and he was very asthmatic, and he realized that for example, when they're using firewood and they throw some water on it, he realized that he'll just start coughing, right? And that is the pollution. You see increased medical conditions because of this pollution. And we are not, and we need to take that on and be mindful and an active participant of this agenda. So it's important that we take note of the fact that the reduced emission is just not for us now, it's for the future of the earth, it's for the future of our family, it's for reduced medical costs too as well to our pockets. I mean, there's increased reasons for different variations of cancer now, and some of them we don't know how and ways that it was that it's brought forth, but it's important that we're mindful of all of these things, and we know why we're doing all of these things.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate. Let me just put some people on the spots. I've asked. I didn't get. I have a life coach in there, America Ataudo. If he wishes to say something, I will unmute him. I don't know if he's still in there. Yes. Coach, please unmute yourself and speak if you can hear me. Okay. Another person that joined us is Professor Gerard. I know he teaches in one of the university in the South, and we happen to be colleagues. Okay, we happen to be colleagues back in one of the IOCs. So, if he's around, Professor Gerard, are you available? Who is speaking? Coach Aneka, let's go ahead, sir.
Okay, I'm trying to turn that on, but as I said to you privately, I'm enjoying the conversation. If I have a question I would have wanted to ask, it would have been, why should I look at a CNG vehicle compared to maybe an electric vehicle? What's the advantage? Maybe that's the area, because they seem to push more of electric vehicle into our face now than they do CNG vehicles. So what's the difference? Why would someone want to opt for a CNG vehicle instead of an electric car? Is it, or should we use because anyway, we're looking at Nigeria as our base of deployment. Whether it's electric, it's CNG, there's going to be a challenge. There are going to be challenges. But tell me, in your own opinion, and I throw that open, which would better get into the market quicker, the electric vehicle get into the market quicker, or the CNG vehicle in terms of cost of maintenance? Thanks.
Okay, Coach, I appreciate you. The question is some way, somehow, but again, what I have learned is what we call, and I will explain it, the cultural compatibility. So when we say cultural compatibility, does not mean in terms of tradition, religion, and whatever. If you are bringing a technology from Germany, you have to look at how compatible it is with our own system. Now, I have a live experience when those Volkswagen Combi buses were getting burnt, catching fire. And in the study that I did, we went to Volkswagen of Nigeria, and what they said is the materials used for the engines for the Volkswagen vehicles out there is different from the materials they use to build the engine for sub-Saharan Africa. So it is expected that when you import that vehicle, you bring it to Volkswagen of Nigeria and customize it because it is air-cooled. So that is where I am going is this. We know the challenges. Now, can we leverage on our strengths? I want to believe, I'm not part of the policymaker. I want to believe that the federal government is leveraging on our strength in terms of the abundance of gas, the natural gas. Now, we're still struggling with even getting electricity into individual houses. I will tell you how many people that was unable to communicate with yesterday because they said there was no lights. They were somewhere, and their battery went down. So what happens? Now, there is this joke. I don't know if you have seen it, coach, but it is there on the social media back then that someone in Nigeria bought this Tesla EV and the battery got finished on the third mainland. How are we to do it? Then the next thing we had was in Nigeria with another Tesla EV, had to go with generator inside his car. So, like you said, there will be challenges. So, but that is not our focus now. So I would think that Nigeria is trying to leverage on those things that we don't have to struggle to get at this moment. Like you say, you do your strengths, your SWOT analysis, and look at your strengths and the opportunities around it. Now, another thing that I'd like to tell Nigerians is that there is always the project life, the program life. We always think, oh, government should do this, and the next moment, we don't consider the teething period. We just feel that government will start building a bridge, and the bridge must be ready in 1 month. Well, technology, China is telling us all those things that we see have not been there, so I wouldn't say this is it. However, we need to understand that we need to start, and in the process, there will be lesson learned. We will continue to improve. If we start to give you instances of how Nigeria will say, let's do this, and the moment the government comes with a policy to do it, it is still these same Nigerians that will say, no, it is not possible. I am not advocating for Nigeria, the Nigerian government. I am not. There are challenges. We've seen inefficiency. We've seen a reason for review of strategy. So, but again, we need to, based on your question, I'm sorry I'm taking this time. I'm not an expert in EV, so, but I just using my own. So thank you, Coach. Professor, what's Gerard? Are you available? Okay, I will round up. Dr. Alayad, Dr. Wahab, anything to say, but I will have to cut you off. You want to say hello to Nigerians and give them words of encouragement? Dr. Alayad, go first. You can unmute. Just few seconds. I will cut you, sir. If you don't, let's go.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think just in summary, and the take home is that CNG in Nigeria is doable, and that we should be ready to embrace it. However, we should, as you rightly said, be patient with government, because this is a new en route. So all the necessary regulations and standards, technical matters have to be addressed properly. But most importantly, it's doable, and we should be ready to embrace it. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Wahid.
Well, yes, I want to say that CNG is achievable, but the government will always be ready to bring out counter narratives to all of those that have been saying evil about implementation of the CNG policy, because you see on social media spaces telling people that if you install CNG, your vehicle will catch fire, if you do this because of our weather and all of that. So there must be counter narratives by all of those that will be saddled with the responsibility of communicating to the people on the importance of embracing CNG. Thank you.
Okay. Please let's mute. What I hear us say, I am rounding up now, is that CNG is doable. The policy is laudable. I know one of the panelists had pointed out the drawbacks in the policy in terms of not doing the due diligence, following due diligence to actually before commencing. However, like I said, we are in this. Do we reverse or we'll go forward? So I'll suggest we put it GR2 and move forward. That is what I hear. I hear our panelists talk about the high cost of installation, that the government should be looking at that, how to cushion it. I know one of the panelists, the lady in particular, talked about while we are looking at how to cushion the effects, we should be conscious of the subsidy again, so that we not get used to the subsidy and at some point we want to take out the subsidy and it becomes an issue. Incentives, you understand, the incentives, bringing in those things. How do we have talked about the materials, infrastructures, conversion equipment. Now, is the government actually looking at the manufacturing sector to start to manufacture some of those equipments in Nigeria instead of importing? Now, for those that we import, I'm not giving Dr. Alaya the time. I wanted to say, how do you ensure standards of what comes in at the port? Because I know he has been the head of the Lagos port at some point. So we leave that. Those are food for thoughts for us to look at. I hear that we need to have information centers where areas where people can get information about this. Yes, social media is there, but how many of them are telling the truth? Then I hear Mr. Wale Sonyaolu and Dr. Alaya talk about physical conference to communicate, because even the media that wants to support the advocacy, the media needs to be informed, because you have to brief the media what you want them to say. Otherwise, they scoop for news and information, and you don't come and say, oh, this is wrong information, and you want to start to like penalize. That's the summary of what I get. We have talked about the environmental impact. Definitely, it's cost reduction for anybody that has the opportunity to convert. Like Adelanke said, this thing has been used over years. Growing up, I have students. I have a family that has a car that has a CNG. What do you do? Fueling system in the car, as far back as when I was in after secondary school. So it's been there for a while. Has it been done in other parts of the world? Yes, we can do best practices. In the modern day, I think my own opinion is we just need to copy where they are. Then we'll be studying on the ground. So maybe we need to improve. Nigeria as a whole need to improve in research and development. We need to put more money into research and development just to help entities, areas, institutions, sectors, industries to push forward. So I want to encourage the Nigerian public, as we move towards this cleaner energy future. I've seen comments on the chat. This Mr. J, thank you. I want to encourage us that the success of CNG adoption depends on all of us, from government bodies to businesses to individuals to you and I. The Nigerian public should they should try to get information, stay informed, ask questions, and consider making switch to CNG, and whichever way. The next step would, viewers, I want to encourage all of us, the ongoing development of CNG. You understand, program on social media, but again, know what you watch. You see, somebody will come up there. And yes, I remember doctor talking about proliferation of installers. Please watch what you install, who install, how you install. I watched that they said some of those tanks are even what do you call it? Bulletproof. You understand? So don't go and get tanks in one shop, get a tank and do the conversion. I can do the conversion. I can do the conversion. Please, that is where the fear of fire will come in, explosion will come in. So we need to do due diligence when we want to do the installation. And on this note, I want to call it a day. I want to say thank you. We said 1 hour, but we started talking, we started interacting, and it got us to where we are today. And I want to say that Rig to Pump is here. We've done a couple of advocacies. We send out links, informations, but people think they are just broadcast. For example, when we did the try to highlight hazards around refueling a running generator, it's there on our YouTube page. We sent it out. So many people didn't see it, and yet we're still doing it. Yes, I saw some people that say almost every house that has this petrol gen does that. Oh, the fuel is almost finished. And instead of switching off, they don't want to switch off. And they will they want to refuel a running generator that the system is very hot. I'll leave it at that. So our YouTube page is still Rig to Pump. Sometimes you see Rig to Pump in terms of word. Sometimes you see rig, RIG2 as a figure, then pump, one word. So for our website, it is rigtopump.com, RIGTOPUMP, one word, .com. You see information about on it. We want to appreciate and celebrate with Ohando that is celebrating 30 years. It's not an easy task. They started from selling PMS and AGO into becoming a major player in the oil and gas. Congratulations to the Orlando team. I'm saying this because we did the write-up on that, and congratulations to everybody, every Nigerian that is still managing to keep their heads up. We definitely will get there, and let's do one thing. The change starts from you and I. Don't eat anything in the car and throw it on the road. Because if you throw it on the road and the local government chairman comes, I have used 500 million to clear the drainages, you don't have cause to complain. So follow the traffic lights. Don't drink. Yes, in our culture, don't drink and drive. I see people coming from abroad and they say they can't drink and drive, and they come to Nigeria, they drink 3 bottles of alcohol, big bottles, and they say it is because there's no light on the road. That's why they had an accident. You're not. You're under an influence. So please, some way, somehow, we'll get there. And I want to say thank you to all our participants. Thank you to all those that are just bullied into this program, Coach. Appreciate you. And we'll call it a day. I will be calling on you again. Our job is to take critical topics, you understand, that and look at it and try to put it in the right perspective. Thank you very much. Thank you for being a part of us, for being a part of this success. See you next time.